Is the Airbnb or short-term rental gold rush over? I don't think so, but I'm going to give you both sides of the argument and what you should be looking for if you want to buy your first Airbnb property and profit the correct way.
If you're new here, my name is Ralph DiMagnaro, and over the last 20 years, I've been buying real estate and lending money on real estate for all types of properties. But I'm not here to sell you on me. I'm here to tell you how I did it. Over the last few years, I've amassed a short-term or Airbnb portfolio worth over $20 million. With that, it's allowed me to retire younger, replace my income from other ventures with all short-term rental income, and travel all over and even own properties in other countries.
So, disclaimer, I actually have a real estate course based on Airbnb buying named The Next Real Estate Gold Rush. Talking about the gold rush being over kind of goes against what I've preached in the past, but I think there's a good argument on both sides, and I want to give you both sides to tell you the good and bad of buying a short-term rental and if you still should be looking into buying Airbnb properties. First, as we enter the summer of 2022 and we finish the summer of 2022, what we've seen is record numbers for short-term or Airbnb rentals. June and July were the two highest months ever for Airbnb rentals. There was more revenue generated in those 2 months than ever before. As a matter of fact, 2022 is going to be the highest grossing year for Airbnb rentals of all time. With that, as we spoke about in previous videos, occupancy rates are down, but demand is up. So what does that mean? Because there's more homes and more competition, that there's more homes available than there was before, meaning that there's more homes vacant. But still, demand has increased year over year, and there's more people renting Airbnbs than ever before. So one of the downsides and one of the points to the side of is the gold rush over is that a lot of people have rushed into the business because of the high rates of return over the last couple of years. Because of that, there's more competition, and it's going to hurt some of the people who don't have a certain type of houses, and I'll get into that. So that's the one thing that's kind of hurting the market, right? That there's a lot more competition. Number two, with all COVID restrictions over at this point now, thankfully, I think we're all happy about that in general, we're seeing that travel has increased to other countries. Whether you're living in North America or in other countries, the travel from your country to Europe and to Asia and to all these other countries that were popular vacation and destination spots before has now increased, meaning that the traffic in your specific area is probably decreased as a result of it. So I think those are the two things that are happening that have helped some Airbnb markets and hurt some others. The areas that it's hurt the most were the social distancing areas that people were rushing to, right? So mountainous areas, the Smoky Mountains in Tennessee and the Catskills in New York are two really, really good examples of areas that was super, super hard during COVID restrictions because people just wanted space. They wanted to get out into the open air where they didn't have to deal with restrictions and or having to be worried about being next to people who possibly could get them sick. So those types of areas blew up. They were two of the biggest areas in the country. And since then, there's been a huge reduction in demand, overall income, and every other aspect of those areas with short-term rentals and Airbnb. So those types of areas, mountainous, wooded areas that are out in the open with a lot of acreage have taken a big hit in this kind of reestablishing of what Airbnb is. So, that's another piece to say, hey, is this kind of coming to an end, right? So two things. And then the third thing, so first we looked at the world opening up and people traveling other places, increased competition, which means that there's more vacancies and putting your house more at risk. And some of the areas that were big last year are not as big this year. And then lastly, what I would say, the economy, right? Inflation, higher costs to travel because of gas and because of increased cost of everything probably put this market under some stress. But what I do believe with that is you're going to see, like you've seen every other single year, rental rates will still be up year over year. Vacations have not been reduced as of yet. And I think that's twofold, right? I think during COVID restrictions, a lot of people stopped traveling altogether. And now that everybody can travel again, that number has either stayed steady or gone up a little bit because, yes, people have less money to do it, but they built up a reserve from being in the house the last couple of years, one. And two, there's more people who are able to travel now than before. So it's kind of made that number stay stagnant and not go down. It's actually increased a little bit. So those are the do's and don'ts of, is now a bad time to buy an Airbnb? Those are some restrictions against it that I would say make it a little bit questionable. Now let's talk about one, either the good or how you can buy the right Airbnb if you want to be in this market. I still will tell you for my personal use, and I have about 10 active Airbnbs currently and 5 properties that are kind of both. So about 15 in total, that I had the best month I've ever had in July of this year and June of this year. All my revenue was up. But I will tell you that my properties are all really in vacation areas. As a matter of fact, I've sold the houses that didn't meet my vacation requirements, meaning that, like I said before, my houses are by lakes, by beaches, by other attractions and amenities that don't have anything to do with my house, like wineries, like historical downtowns, other attractions, ski mountains that bring people to those areas, right? So I've stayed in vacation areas. The way I think you win with Airbnb or short-term rentals is just that. You need to find areas that have amenities that people want to travel to that have nothing to do with your house. The people who are suffering now when there's an increased vacancy on their properties are the properties that are in areas that there's nothing special to. Properties by airports, properties in regular towns that have nothing really to do with any kind of attraction, that it's a long commute or travel distance to the things people want to get to. The places that are at a distance from the areas that people want to visit are taking a hit. So if you're going to look to buy into this market, that's what you need to avoid. And if you're going to buy in this market, you should be looking in vacation areas, especially now in possibly vacation off seasons, because the summer's over. In some areas, that means that vacation season is over. Look in those areas in the off seasons when people aren't staying there to buy, because that's when you will get a discount on those properties. So that's the same thing too. If you're going to buy something that's an Airbnb or short-term rental, you want to look for those properties in that area's off season. Now, some places have no off season. They're busy 10, 11 months a year, but most Airbnbs will have some kind of down market, right? It's not the same every single month. There's a high season and a low season. You want to look in the areas that, in those areas, you want to look at what their off season is. That's when you get the deal. I live in the Northeast. The best time to look for homes, right? The best time to look for homes is in the dead of winter when it's freezing and nobody wants to be outside. Around holidays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's. When people aren't looking, you want to be looking. That's the insider secret, right? Even now, as I'm filming this, it's the end of August. The end of August is a great time to look for a home. Kids are going back to school. People are getting their last vacations in. People are finishing out summer by not doing anything that causes them any stress and or takes up any of their time. That's the best time for you to be looking for properties. It's when I found some of my best buys in the hottest markets. So that's the thing I would say. Overall, the Airbnb market is up. The demand is up. Not only is it up, but it's impacting other industries like the airline industry, like the hotel industry, the leisure industry. If you look at those companies, the big companies in those markets' outlooks, like we said in previous videos, and I've gone into detail on our previous videos, their outlooks for 2022 and 2023 are all up, right? So I think you need to be with where the money is going. That's where the money is still going. Short-term rentals are having more and more of an impact on that market, and it's still up. So is the gold rush over? In a way, it is, because you can't just blindly buy a property and make it into an Airbnb and make money at this point. You have to put some thought about it. As people find out profitable investment strategies in any line of work, right, in any field, if you find a profitable investment strategy, it gets more competitive. As it gets more competitive, you need to get in more niche. The millions of dollars, the gold, right, the gold in the gold rush is in the niches. You need to stay in the niches to find where your money is. The niches are vacation areas. Vacation areas, for one, this is why they're beneficial, have a history of short-term rentals most time. That's the first thing. Secondly, you can find data on it. And by the way, if you're looking at data for a short-term rental that you're looking to buy, you want to go back to 2019, not 20, not 21, not during COVID restrictions, and not this year, which has kind of been like this, right? You want to go back to 2018 and 2019 and see how that area did as far as short-term rentals in 18 and 19, not 20, 2021. If it was good then and it was increasing then, or it was a prospective market that was growing, those are the markets you still want to be in. Those are the markets who have a proven track record that weren't just up because of COVID restrictions. Is the gold rush over? In some ways, yes. In some ways, no. I'm still a buyer in that market. I still believe in my properties that I'm renting in that market. And I still think that you can prosper in that market if you buy the right properties that are vacation-based and not just anything. So the gold rush isn't over yet. I'm not changing the name of the course. I still think that we have a very high upside. As I said before, I have a mix of about 50-50 at this point, long-term rentals compared to short-term rentals, and my short-term rentals generate about 3 times as much income per month as my long-term rentals do. So I can show you proof that this theory works and it goes through that, but more importantly, I think that if you use the right strategy, if you look at the right data and you buy in the right areas, you are safe and the gold rush continues. I hope you're enjoying our videos. If you want to see any more, check out our YouTube page, Ralph DiVignara. Check out my website, thenextrealestategoldrush.com. If you have any comments or commentary, leave them. Send me a message about what you'd like to see next or what you'd like to hear about my properties in particular, what's been good, what's been bad. I'll be transparent and share everything. So again, thanks for visiting. Hope you enjoyed the videos. See you soon.